core is rotten, and I can behold the tide.
Hey everyone and welcome. As we all know, Bill Gates has been buying up farmland and is now the number one owner of farmland in America and probably numerous other nations that we've not been informed about yet. Well, you're probably wondering what he wants to do with all of this farmland. Well, here he is talking about making sure we get down to zero CO2. Now, let's just leave the science to one side in what that would actually do, reducing CO2 to zero. Let's just leave that to one side and have a listen to what his plans for the future are. And you let me know if you think this is good.
Seeds, typically between the time you start and they get out in the farmer's fields is about 8 years. Now we have a pipeline of innovations. We've been funding the CG system for 20 years now. It's funded at about $1 billion a year. If people care at all about adaptation, that thing will be funded at $2 billion a year. I mean, there won't be anything close to the impact of climate-related seeds, climate-related maize, rice, wheat, sorghum, millet. And thank goodness, because of human genetics, we know how to do the editing. Thank goodness, because of AI, we know how to find the alleles. Because of drones, we can measure stuff in the field. So there's huge advance in terms of how the whole seed ecosystem moves at full speed. The timing is very tricky here. The warming doesn't stop the day you get to zero emissions. There's a leg in this system. It's about a 20-year leg. So you haven't seen that Earth temperature is not equilibrated to the atmospheric CO2 content. So when you get to zero, it's not like 2051, take my air conditioner away. No, it starts quite a bit later. And so you have to look at what the peak is, and you can't just plan for, okay, 2030. 2030 is where your maize production in Central Africa is down 25%. By 2050, it's down 70%, and you will have switched in most of those areas from a fairly heat-sensitive crop to sorghum. Now, sorghum productivity is super low, so we'll get people to do better maize for these next 15 years.
Better maize meaning genetically modified maize.
And then they are going to have to switch to sorghum. It is tough when you see the floods in Pakistan. I mean, nobody expected that.
Anyone that pays attention to the past wasn't surprised by Pakistan flooding, you absolute liar. If you don't believe me, have a look. It's on Wikipedia, for God's sake.
You know, if the goal of climate was to make us pay attention, wow. That is way beyond expectation. So some adaptation money literally will just be disaster recovery money.
Now, as you probably heard there, he's still talking about making and forcing people, not through choice, but just through coercion and manipulation more than likely, into growing different crops. First off, genetically modified crops. Didn't we all already deny the usage of that sort of shite? Well, now he wants everyone that's growing wheat and maize to switch to sorghum, even though sorghum, as in his words, has a very, very low yield and productivity rate. He thinks that because of the heat, we won't be able to grow wheat in Africa, and therefore they're all going to have to grow sorghum. Now, if you're wondering what sorghum is, it's a genus of about 25 species of flowering plants in the grass family. Some of these species are grown as cereals for human consumption, there you go, and some in pastures for animals. Well, they're trying to get rid of the animals, so that won't be an issue. So I thought I'd have a look into exactly what it is. Let's have a listen to this, shall we? Toxicity. We're ready. In the early stages of the plant's growth, some species of sorghum can contain levels of hydrogen cyanide, hordenine, and nitrates, which are lethal to grazing animals. If it can kill a cow, do you think it's going to kill you? When stressed or brought on by drought or heat, remember he said that we'd have to go to this because everywhere's going to be too hot. But when the plant's stressed because of heat, the plants can also contain toxic levels of cyanide and nitrates. Does it sound like something you want your food made out of, everyone? Anyone? Cyanide and nitrates? And if you get it early, it's got hydrogen cyanide and hordenine and nitrates. Doesn't sound like a good plan to me. Does it to you, everyone? Let me know what you think, though. I'd like to know your opinion. Have a look into what sorghum is, you know, the miracle crop that he's touting. And then remember that he said that even when if we get to zero CO2 emissions, it still won't lift anything. It will just continue and continue and continue, just in case it comes back. Absolutely shocking what this man's allowed to get away with. If it was up to me, he'd be in a jail cell, but then that is not up to me. Let me know what you'd do. What do you think of all of this? It's rubbish, isn't it? Stay sane. I'll see you on the next one.